Obviously, I'm a Seahawks fan, but just moved to Texas, and I just can't quite bring myself to be a Cowboys fan. Any Cowboys fans in the room? But I got to tell you who I am a fan of. I'm a huge Tom Landry fan, right? Talk about a man of character, integrity, an awesome coach, an expert at what he did. So if you also hadn't figured out, you know, the brain means cheesy joke, right? So I got a cheesy joke about Tom Landry. Now, I'm very careful telling this in Texas because if you malign the man, you get hung, right? So, but if you didn't know this, Landry was a huge hunter. He loved to bird hunt. And of course, the duck hunt season was right there during football season, so he had a hard time getting it done. He didn't have his dogs with him on the road, but he went on the road up north, and somebody told him where he could go duck hunting. They'd take him out on their land, but they also had dogs to rent. And he said, really? And are they any good? And they're like, yeah, the dogs are great. If you go, ask for the dog named Coach. So he goes, okay. So he goes up there, and they're like, oh my God, Coach Landry, it's so cool to meet you. We're not huge Cowboy fans up here in Packer country, but it's so cool that you're here. What can we do for you? He goes, well, I want to go duck hunting. I got a permit, but I was told to ask for Coach. And they said, yeah, we can have Coach for you. And he's $25 a day. And he's like, okay. And he goes out hunting, he comes back, and they go, what did you think of Coach? And he goes, Coach was awesome. He hustled, he was disciplined, he knew his job, and he executed well. He's a good dog. He's a good dog. He goes, hey, I'm going to be back next year about the same time. Can I put down Coach? I'd like to take Coach out next year. Sure. Sure enough, he comes back next year. Like, Coach Landry, so great to see you. Do you still want to take Coach out? He's $100 a day now. He's like, wow, $100 a day. Oh, he's gotten that much better. Sure, yeah, I want to take Coach out. He comes back, they go, what do you think? He goes, oh my goodness, he still hustles, he's still disciplined, he still knows his job, but now I can communicate with him just with hand signals. He's not a feather was rustled on any of my birds. He was amazing. He was a great dog. And can we put pencil in for next year? Please do. So he comes back the next year, they're like, now Coach Leonard, you want to take Coach out again? He's $500 a day. And he's like, what? He's worth every penny. Okay, I'll take him out. He comes back. They go, what'd you think? He goes, he still hustles. He's still obedient. He still knows his job. I can still communicate with him. But now he scares up birds I didn't even know were there. He's finding ways to make my hunt better. I maxed out because of him. This is an amazing dog. He's better than my dogs. I wish I had him at home. I don't know how you trained him, but he's good. They're like, well, we'll pencil him for next year. And he's like, great. He comes back the next year. They're like, hey, Coach, good to see you back. Let's go get you a dog. He goes, no, I'll take Coach. They're like, okay, he's $5 a day. And he's like, well, wait. He was 25, then 100, and $500 a day. Now he's $5 a day. What happened? He said, well, Coach had a kind of tragic accident. He was doing great. He hustled. He was obedient. He knew his job. You could communicate with him real clearly. He was scaring up birds people didn't even see. Then one day, someone called him head coach. And now all he'll do is sit on his tail and bark. We changed your name at some point. We stopped calling you colonel. We started calling you commander. We started calling you chief instead of airman. We started calling you fill in the blank, supervisor. What about you? Do you just sit on your tail and bark? Or are you out there hustling, obedient, communicating with your people, getting the job done, being innovative, scrounging up ways to do things better? Or do you sit behind your computer and click emails and perpetuate the walls with things like, well, that's how we've always done it. That's what sitting on your tail and barking looks like. Okay? How do you do business? I've talked for 4 hours about theory and psychology and cool little mind games, right? And that's all great. But if we don't change how we do business on Monday or tomorrow, then all we're doing is sitting on our tail and bark. It's a great mountaintop experience. Great the general had us come for an afternoon. We've got to spend an afternoon together, get to know our commanders a little better, and that's it, right? No, I want you to take what you've learned, and I want you to begin to apply it. And I'm going to give you tools to do that. They're easy tools. We have them developed for you. You don't have to do any work, but go on our website and use them, okay? I'm going to show you those tools, okay? We'll walk through this just a little bit. Before I do, let me ask you a question. What's the most challenging thing you've experienced in your Air Force career? What's the most challenging thing? Someone just throw some out. Most challenging thing you've had to experience or that you've had to deal with? Suicide. I don't know if they get more challenging than that. What else? Maybe death of a baby, huh? It's the most challenging thing I've had to deal with, my exec, death of his baby. What else? It doesn't have to be that big, by the way. we jumped right in the deep end. What else? It's the most challenging thing you've dealt with? Status quo. I like that. What else? Were you prepared? Were you prepared to deal with whatever was your most challenging? Here's the thing. You can't be prepared the day of. You can't be prepared the day of. Remember I talked about deliberately engineering? We got to deliberately engineer, and it has to be done right. Our process, here's how this works, right? Anybody here a good golfer? I mean a really, really, really good golfer. Anybody? I suck. I'm horrible. But do you think that as part of this seminar, I could have brought in a golf coach to teach us the basics of golfing, right? So it bring us in a golf coach, the basics of golfing, right? And what would they do? They put a ball on the ground. They teach us how to select the right club. They teach us how to hold the club, right? Some version of the Varden grip, some way where our hands are interlocked, right? They teach us how to approach the ball, how to place our hands, teach us the backswing, and then to bring the club down, keeping our head down, opening the hips, driving the ball out, right? That's it. That's all we need to know to be good golfers, right? We would know everything we need to know to be a good golfer. So we'd be good golfers, right? Why not? Got to practice. Perfect. Okay. So here's what I'm going to come back in a year, and I'm going to show you all I'm a good golfer. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go practice every day for a year, 100 balls on the range every day, 365 days for a year. I'm going to hit 100 balls, golf balls on the range, right? So we come back a year later. We go, everyone come on out to the range. I'm going to show you what good a golfer I am. I'm going to put the ball on the ground. I'm going to select the right club. I'm going to get the right grip. I'm going to address the ball properly. I'm going to get a nice backswing. I'm going to bring the club face through. I'm going to swack the ball. I'm going to keep my head down. The ball's going to take off. And if it's my hit, it's going to take off, and about 50 yards out, it's going to start doing that. And it's going to go that way, further than it went that way. And what do I have? I have a slice. 100 swings every day for a year. Is there a coach in the world that can fix my swing? I'm done. I'll never be a good golfer. I have learned something wrong. So practice wasn't enough, was it? I needed to do what? I needed to practice how? Correctly. I need to practice right. This is how our core values works. This is how integrity and ethics and core values work. I can't tell little white lies, little exaggerations, little self-grandizing stories, and then expect when the heat's on the line that I'm going to stick to the truth, the whole truth, and exactly the truth. I can't lead myself in a manner that doesn't develop commitment, loyalty, and trust, connecting core values to mission, and then when I really need my airmen to trust me, I'm going to turn around and you know what? They're not going to be there. Because if I'm not behind them with the bayonet of the negative EPR, they're not coming, right? Because I didn't develop trust. It can't be something that I need the day the game's on the line. It has to be something I practice every day on a regular basis. What did we say that quote? Baked in everything we do. That's not my quote. That's Lieutenant General Steve Quass. He's the commander of AU, Air University. That's his quote. It has to be baked into everything we do. Can't be something that you think will be there if you're not practicing it on a daily basis. So let me give you the tools to start practicing this stuff on a daily basis, okay? So you guys, I asked you at the beginning to write down 2 words that describe, you'd want people to describe your leadership as. And this is what you said. Here's the things you said. There's some pretty good stuff. There's some pretty good stuff up there. One more. I'm like, where did the other one go? Warrior. This is very unique. I've never seen everything else up here. Not surprised to see humble, credible, right? Approachable was on there too. So weapons school, we're getting the message out, right? You guys are getting your message out. Not surprised to see that. And all the other stuff up there, I've seen at every other bases I've been to, but not warrior. That's interesting. Interesting here at the Air Warfare Center. This is the identity you guys have. A lot of you put down warrior, and it's pretty cool. I think it's really cool. What a unique perspective. This is who you want to be. So are you being it? Are you working on it? Are you getting there? So let me tell you how to turn this into action, okay? Let's talk about how we use this, okay? First of all, you got to expand what it means to be a leader, okay? You got to expand what it means to be a leader. In this room, everyone in this room is a leader. But the people you have working for you, they're either leaders or leaders in training. Now, 06 is sitting at the table. You got leaders working for you. They're board-selected squadron commanders that have proven themselves, aren't they? And you got to lead them as such. If you lead them as like you would a line captain, what happens? It frustrates them, right? Because they got their own innovation, their own creativity, their own way of leading. But your squadron commanders, man, you got amazingly sharp captains and flight commanders and airmen and senior NCOs and NCOs. And you got to lead them like you would lead a fellow leader, not a follower. The whole leader-follower model, you kind of got to get rid of it, okay? And even if down to our youngest airmen, they're leaders in training because one day they'll replace you. Right? One of your airmen, a couple of your airmen in your squadron right now, our young senior airmen, they're going to make chief. They need to take over your role. Okay? Some of your young lieutenants, your young officers, they're going to take over your squadron one day. Okay? I love the 75th Fighter Squadron, an A-10 fighter squadron at Moody Air Force Base, right? They could track their lineage all the way back to Claire Chennault, their commanders. It's so cool. They know what number commander they are of that squadron. It's really neat. It's really neat. They put it right next to their Shark 1 dash whatever they are. It's pretty cool. Okay? They're going to replace you, so you got to start treating them better. On and off duty, we're not just leading airmen, we're leading people. You're leading your family members. You got to start thinking about what it means to lead leaders, okay? Young adults require a little bit of a different leadership, okay? You got to take demographics into account. Remember, you got to take their green blocks into account is really what we're saying here, right? And their green blocks are different than your green blocks, right? Once you got something in mind that you want to try, go for it. Don't wait. Don't wait for some Air Force functional to tell you to do it. You're the commander. You're in charge. Do it. Now, look, if you're going to induce risk in it, then up-channel it to the right level of risk, right? Whether that's your group commander, whether it's your wing commander, right? And if the wing commander has to up-channel higher, so be it, okay? But don't wait. Don't wait for a program. Don't wait for a down day. Is that what we need? That's just what Nellis needs, right? Another Air Force down day, right? How much money does the Air Force spend every time we have an Air Force down day? Seriously, what's that cost the Air Force? Anyone know? Guesses? $320 million in lost manpower. $320 million in lost manpower for every Air Force down day. We are not going to do another Air Force down day. You are not going to see Pace have a 2,000-mile-long screwdriver or whatever it is, a 1,000-mile-long screwdriver from San Antonio to Nellis and start tweaking your professionalism program. First of all, there will be no program. What we're going to ask you to do, you can do without an AFI, you can do for no money, and you can do with just a little bit of extra time, tools I show you. You can begin to create an environment that builds commitment, loyalty, and trust to core values and mission. Okay? You are the commanders. Go for it. Don't wait on anyone else. You're empowered to do this. The chief has empowered you. Okay? Your boss has empowered you. Your wing commander has empowered you. I promise you. Bring them the ideas. Show them what you can do. So you need to do the same down. Empower your folks. Let your line supervisors, let your flight commanders, let your staff sergeants and your tech sergeants, let them start to use this material. Now, how do you get them this material? I'll show you some ways to get them the material. One of the ways is I'm teaching the next 2 days. So if you thought this was useful, have your folks come in the next 2 days. I think we're 7 o'clock tomorrow, and we're 12 o'clock on Thursday. Have them come. Have your flight commanders come. I'm going to tell you what happens when you give flight commanders. So I'm going to give you a true story of what happens when you give flight commanders this material and you turn them loose. Okay? Empower your folks. Okay, so how do we use this? Be patient because you're not going to turn the ship quickly, okay? Changing culture takes a long time. So here's some ideas on some tools, right? So let's start with oaths. On our webpage, we have a bunch of tools that you can go and do. And one of the tools we have is we have a trifold on oath, right? If you want to work on commitment, what have we all committed to? What is an oath? It's a public what? Promise or commitment, right? It's a public commitment to uphold something, right? In this case, the Constitution of the United States, right? So if you want to work on commitment inside your squadron, use the oaths. How many of you have administered an oath to somebody? How many of you get this? How many of you have had this? Hey, sir, I'm re-enlisting. Would you give me the oath tomorrow? Hey, ma'am, I'm re-enlisting. Will you meet me out at the airplane, give me the oath tomorrow? Sure. You show up at the airplane, somebody has a flag, or today, what do? They pull out their phone, right? They put a flag on it and they hold it up. Anyone ever seen that? You laugh because you've seen it, right? What a lost opportunity, A, to remind the person what they're really committing to, and B, to remind everyone else in the squadron what a commitment the oath is. Okay, so explain to them what the oath is. We have a trifold. You don't have to know. You could look smart. Okay, and then you use it once, you will be smart. It has right here, it has the purpose of the oath. It has the history of the oath. It has the oath on the back, and then it has the oath broken down line by line. What are you actually swearing to? Master Sergeant. I did this with a tech sergeant of mine. She was sitting at 17 years, going to take her retirement. No one had ever done this with her before. She's like, wow, I didn't know some of that, right? So then next day, so do that the day before. Great, I'll re-enlist you. Come on by my office today for a half hour. Let's talk about this. Then the next day, get the script offline. It's 1 page. This is the script, 2 pages. These are the oaths, right? Oh, by the way, enlisted oath, right? Officer oath, right? Civilians, they take oaths? Yes, they do. A lot of them will only take it once ever. Why? If they get promoted, if you're giving them a 10 or a 20 or a 30-year pin, you're celebrating them. Why not re-administer the oath to them? Okay? You know you can do it in enlisted promotion ceremony if they move up from someone finally retires or dies and they get to move up from a 12 to a 13, right? That's the only way they get promoted, right? They get a new job, they move up, re-administer the oath. So there's a script here. Read the script. You know, Aunt Jenny and Uncle Forrest may be in town, right? And to see their nephew get promoted. And they've never even heard about our oaths. They didn't even know we took an oath, right? There's a lot of our society that doesn't even know we took an oath. Read the script, right? Play this. If you're doing it inside, if you're not doing that at the airplane, play this.
We stood in lines and raised our right hands. And all of a sudden, we weren't kids anymore. It's not that we grew up, we just knew we had to be different now. When they say repeat after me and you state your name, it sounds like a mess. A bunch of voices saying their names at the same time, all proud of who they are. By the end of the oath, you're one voice, all proud of what you share. The oath is our bond that brings all airmen together. We solemnly swore that we would support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Maybe a lot of us have never even read the Constitution. But that piece of paper we swore to defend spelled out everything America was capable of. The greatness that was yet to come. Freedoms, rights, powers, duties, responsibilities. That's what we were defending. And now, you've taken that oath. You swore to do what was required of you. What is required will be more than you thought you had. You will be given boundaries and borders, but you will also be shown horizons. Your duty is to achieve the impossible. Your orders are to conquer fears. Do things we couldn't dream of. Your orders are not to live up to some romantic idea of what we were, or to drag our memory with you like a weight. Your orders are to let us carry you to places we couldn't find. Your duty is to your country. Your duty is to be an airman. The oath is not a limitation. It's a starting gun. You have not sworn to do what so many brave men and women have done before. You've sworn to do what no one has done before. Do not repeat after us. Do better. Aim high, airmen.
So how big are your units? Who's got more than 200 folks in their squadron? So how many oaths are you administering in a year? In a year? Every time we re-administer an oath, it's an opportunity to remind the entire squadron what they've committed to. Don't waste it. Remind them. Poke them in the eye a little bit. Poke them to stir that commitment just a little bit. Remind them, you committed to this. You did this. You chose this. This is the in-group you want. Okay? How long does it take? It's a 5-minute script. It's a 5-minute script. 20 minutes, 30 minutes the day before prepping the person, 5 minutes reading the script, 10 minutes if you show the video. That's it. Okay? Oaths, powerful opportunity we have to reinforce commitment, loyalty, and trust, right? We're working on commitment with oaths. Okay? Walk with me. So this is the General Rand story, right? We took General Rand's story and we developed it into a tool. We got it on one pager right here. You can pull the one pager right off the website. It's got the purpose, it's got the description, and it tells you how to employ it. Who here has to walk to a meeting at some point during the day? Raise your hand if you have to walk to a meeting, right? Okay, why are you walking by yourself? Take an airman with you. Hey, airman, I got to walk down to the staff meeting. I got to walk down to the production meeting. I got to walk down to whatever. Walk with me. Walk with me. If you don't have that, then engineer it. Go walk the flight line. Don't just wander, because then they'll think you're just spying on them. Walk with me. Okay? Now, don't walk with the same airman every time. Why? Because, yeah, you'll get a visit from the IG at that point, right? So walk with different airmen. And begin, when you walk with them, what are you asking them? How are those CDCs coming, right? No. Do you know you need a haircut and a uniform? No. Why'd you come in the Air Force? What do you want to be in 5 years? Get to know them. If you want to have an environment of commitment, loyalty, and trust, you have to know your airmen before they'll trust you, okay? You have to know your airmen. Take this a step further. Some folks in the room in here get to go to events around town, right? You get to go to events downtown. Call the event planner and say, hey, I want to bring an airman, a young lieutenant, and and her husband with me, or I want to bring a young airman and his wife with me. Again, do not take the same lieutenant every time, or you're going to be talking to the IG, right? And tell the guys downtown, hey, we want to put them at the head table in our place of honor. Is it okay if we bring them? They're going to tell you not only is it okay, they're going to make room for them. And then go get to know that airman, okay? You want the airman to tell you what's going on in your unit, in your organization, you got to get to know him, okay? Walk with me, we'll get to know him, okay? Think tanks. So we have a one-pager on think tanks. There's an NCO think tank, there's a CGO think tank, there's a CGO, NCO crosstalk tank, right? So here we go, think tank. Purpose, description, and then how to use it, how to do a mentor, what questions to ask, how to set up a think tank. Who in here has ever set up a think tank? Seems kind of, so somebody has some experience doing it. Otherwise, it seems a little daunting to me, right? But this tells you how to do it, right? Let me tell you the power of a think tank, okay? Let me tell you the power of a think tank. We stole this, by the way, from SOS, that set up a think tank. The SOS students do research something for the chief of staff or the ATC commander comes down and they brief them, right? It's pretty cool. So let me tell you what happened. We gave this class to the ATC squadron commanders in the 435th Flying Training Squadron, IFF at Randolph. Anybody familiar? The Black Eagles? Their commander went through it, and the commander wasn't really happy with how they did things in their squadron, okay? So they view their role is to take pilot training pilots, graduates, and begin to make them fighter pilots, the best wingmen possible, to push them out to the line for you all, right? So that when they hit FTU, they come knowing how to be a wingman, how to be a fighter wingman, right? And they were having some issues doing that. Some not so good things happened with some things like some roll calls and things like that. And so the commander said, you know, I don't know how to fix this problem. I don't know how we do a good job teaching them how to fly, but I don't know how we teach them the rest of the business of the fighter business. Because everything we try seems to be grounded in some negativism. And so he said, here's what I want to do. I'm going to bring in a think tank, about 5 or 6 people, and I'm going to make my schedulers, my flight commanders, and my youngest captains are going to be in the think tank. Now, why? Why did he pick them? Who has the bigger imagination green block, the old people or the young people? Young people. So if you want to come up with creative solutions how to solve something, put the lieutenants on it, not the lieutenant colonels on it, okay? Now, you may need to have the lieutenant colonels review it when it's done. And you have to be very careful when you do a think tank, because if you say, hey, we got a problem with morale around here, figure out a way to solve morale, and they come back and go, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to work Tuesday and Thursday, the rest of the time will be off, right? You know, okay, that's not doable, okay? So here's what this commander did. He put this group together. The other reason he picked that group is who knows the schedule the best? Who knows the inner workings of the squadron the best? The schedulers, right? And he said, for the next month, meet on Thursday afternoons for an hour. Opening one, he bought pizza, said, I want to find a way to work on how we build camaraderie and morale in a way that continues our fighter heritage, but in a way that doesn't continue to get me threatened to be fired by the ATC commander, right? Because that happened. Okay? And so they met, and they came back to him after a month. He said, what do you got? And they said, yeah, so what we did is we looked at the schedule, and we figured out a way that we could rearrange the schedule. We don't lose a single line. We don't lose a single flying hour, and we can take a day of flying off every month. He goes, really, what's maintenance think? And they go, maintenance loves it because they get a day of loving on the jet without us out there with ball-peen hammers breaking it, right? Isn't that how it happens, right? Flyers come out, ping, ping. And he says, great, I like it. What are we doing with that day off? They said, well, we've already booked our first day off. The entire squadron, students, IPs, non-flight admin staff, we're going down to SAMC, we're going down to the Center for the Intrepid, and we're playing wheelchair basketball against the wounded vets. Does anyone know what the Center for the Intrepid is? That's where we send folks that have amputees, right? So here they go down. Now, what part of what's going on in this squadron is that they have beaten the snot out of their students about becoming fighter pilots and being fighter pilot experts. They're hardened fighter pilots. They know what they're doing, right? Here at the end of this day, playing wheelchair basketball, they get up out of the chair, tears streaming down their face. Now, part of that is because they absolutely got smoked by the vets, right? But the other part is because they realized maybe what they thought was so important wasn't so important. And they go, what are we doing next? And they just begin to look for alternate ways to learn about leadership. They opened a library dedicated to Claire Chenault, had Claire Chenault's granddaughter come out and speak. Well, this led them to a leadership seminar. and they attended the leadership seminar. And they said, wow, you know, we hadn't thought about that. What problems do we have in the squadron? And they realized, you know, they're pretty good about teaching how to fly on the ground before a sortie and after a sortie, but maybe where they're a little weak is in the air. So maybe our coaching in the air, you know, in that 10 seconds you have or that 5 seconds you have to make an input to the student, right? You guys probably, a lot of you get that. Maybe we're not the best at that, right? So what they do, they said, well, who else has that challenge? Oh, basketball. We see this in basketball, right? We see the guys walking down the court, the team's walking down the court, and the coach is yelling at him. He's got 3 seconds to yell at him how to change stuff. So they went up and had a day with the University of Texas basketball coach and learned tremendous things from him. Right? They wanted to improve their teaching. They brought the weapons school out to teach them how to do a better debrief, right? What they realized is that they weren't teaching well. So this started with how do we begin to change our morale and camaraderie? And pretty soon it morphed into we're not teaching well. You know what else they realized? Flight commanders weren't flight commanders. Flight commanders were gradebook managers. Where was the leadership in the flight commander? So they had a huge effort to put commander back in flight commander. They rearranged the organization of the squadron to move the IPs back under the flight commanders instead of being separate where the flight commanders only took care of the students. You know what one of their barriers sounded like? You don't graduate, your gradebook graduates. You know what they said? The heck with that. You graduate because it's not your gradebook that's going to go to the next FTU and tell the rest of the Air Force, the 435th, of a bunch of buffoons. It's you. We'll make the paperwork look right. You need to know what you're doing when you go out the door. Man, and they started just applying this stuff all out of a CGO think tank. And you go, well, Spoon, this is all great stuff, but how does this affect? In the end, I got to get my mission done. You know what they found? They got an 83% reduction rate in washout in IFF at the 435th. And you might go, well, that makes sense. They've softened their standards because they got this softer, gentler way of leading. They're dropping breadcrumbs, Spoon. They're not pushing anymore, right? This is the mamby-pamby Air Force. I'm not going to do that and push my guys. You know what they got? They got an 85% reduction rate in their graduates washing out of follow-on FTUs. We're in a time of shortage of Air Force pilots, shortage of pilots. How much money have we spent to get a guy to IFF and then to FTU? $1 million to get that gal there, right? And they reduced washout rates 85%. Man, that's real world mission impact. Why? They started with a think tank. Hey, captains, what do you think? Captain said, oh, we think a lot, boss. We think a lot. And he didn't even have to think about it. He went to the page, he pulled our one pager, he goes, let's see, meet in my conference room, I buy you pizza. Okay. Think tanks are hugely powerful. If you don't even know where to start, put a think tank together and have your people tell you where to start. It's awesome, awesome tool. Awesome tool. Book building. There's some books out there that we recommend online. There's some books on the Chief's website. And we have How to Break a Book Down, right? Right here. This one's Leading with Honor by Lee Ellis. The other one's Mentoring 101 by John Maxwell. Anybody ever read Leading with Honor by Lee Ellis? Anyone read that? Man, if you're looking for a book club to do, that's where I'd start. It's an amazing book. Colonel Ellis was shot down and captured in North Vietnam, spent years as a POW. He wrote a book about what he learned about leadership inside Hanoi. And then he applies it to real world today. I wanted to skip all the real world examples. I just wanted to keep getting to find out what was going to go on the next in the Hanoi Hilton. Amazing stuff. You don't have to know how to break down a book. We'll tell you how to do it. Break it down a chapter a week, a chapter a month, whatever it is, right? Now, one thing I caution you on book building. What level is appropriate for book building? Well, there's no level that's not appropriate for book building. I encourage people to read more. But if General Short starts doing a book and then the group commanders start doing a book and then you start doing, we could find our squadron commanders reading 3 or 4 books at one time, right? So we can overwhelm our people real quick. So just be careful how many book clubs you have going at once, okay? But that's a book I highly recommend. Heritage Today videos. Who liked the videos? Anybody like the videos? Well, that was pretty cool. We got about a dozen of them. Good stuff, right? So we first put them out. They were motivational videos. That's all they were. They're supposed to be motivation videos. And guys went, no, I really want to use them. What lessons can I draw from? So we have now written 1-page facilitator guides for the videos. What questions you should ask by each video. What themes are running through there. And you know how I could ask you to find one word that strikes a chord, one phrase that strikes a chord with you? We got the scripts too. So you don't actually have to listen to videos. You can search those till you find a phrase that strikes the chord with you to facilitate. You know what? Give that video and that facilitator guide to your staff sergeants. Friday afternoon, before or after they go on the line, right? Have them spend 15 minutes. Watch the video and spend 15 minutes discussing the topic of the video. You want to start to explore commitment to concepts that are key to who we are as airmen? Easy tool to do, right? Easy tool to do. Push that one all the way down as low as you can go, okay? Use it in your commander's calls. Use it at your safety days. Use it in change of command, whatever it is. Airman's Creed. Remember we did the one-pager on the oath? We've got a one-pager on Airman's Creed, right? We got a one-pager on military salute. We got a one-pager on challenge coin, right, or a trifold. But I have a one-pager on Airman's Creed. Do our airmen, our brand new young airmen, do they know the Airman's Creed? Chiefs, are you seeing that? Do they know the Airman's Creed when they show up? They do. Do they understand it? Not necessarily. They know it because if they don't, they get the snot beat out of them at BMT until they learn it, right? But do they understand it? They don't understand it. They don't understand what some of these words mean. Well, here's a trifold on the purpose of a creed, the history of the creed. It's got the creed on the back, and then it breaks down the creed line by line. Same type of thing. Give this to one of your line level supervisors, your flight commanders, your captains, your staff sergeants, and have them walk through the creed one afternoon with your folks. 15 minutes. 15 minutes. You want to see a deeper commitment, a deeper understanding, where they begin to take them from knowing the creed to living the creed? Have them walk through that facilitator's guide. Okay? Wingman sortie. Guess what we have? What's up here? Come on. A one-pager. You're right. You guys are so engaged at this point. Stay with me. We're almost done. We're almost done. Wingman sortie. What's a wingman sortie? Anybody ever watch Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe? Who likes that show? Yeah, so that's what a wingman sortie is. It's dirty jobs, okay? It's the idea of go out and do one of your people's job, okay? What happens with Mike Rowe when he's doing these dirty jobs, besides they usually are really disgusting? About halfway into the job, they stop talking about the job and they start talking about what? Life, right? And about them and the life they led and who they are and how they got there. So do this. Here's an example. OSS commander. Here's an example of how to do a wingman sortie, right? I'm going to do a wingman sortie. I want to begin to understand not only my people, my organization and what it does, but my people. So I call down to AFE, right? And I tell them, hey, I'm coming down Wednesday afternoon for an hour. I want to rebuild a mask. I want someone to walk me through rebuilding a mask, right? So I carve the hour out of my day. I go down to AFE. I show up in AFE. I go, hey, I'm here. Someone to rebuild a mask, right? And who do they run out to show me how to rebuild a mask? Who do you think they bring out? Not the shop, well, maybe the shop chief, definitely not the superintendent, right? He gets enough face time. But he sends out who? His tech sergeant, very best 7 level, right? Instructor, right? I'm like, that's great. That's awesome. Go away. Go get Airman Jones. I want Airman Jones to teach me how to do this. Sir, Airman Jones isn't qualified on rebuilding masks. Great. Then you'll see how well he really knows what he's learning, won't you? As he starts to tell me. So they go back. They go, Airman Jones, the commander wants to see you. And what's Airman Jones do? Why? And they got to pick him up, right? Okay, come on out, Airman Jones. Hi, sir. Hi, Airman Jones. Good to see you again. Yes, I did find the right baked beans, Airman Jones. Thanks for asking, right? Hey, I'm here to learn to build a mask. You're going to teach me to build a mask. Okay, so Airman Jones, first thing I want you to do is get some red tape. We're going to put a big red X on this mask, because if I work on this mask, no one can wear it, ever. Right? We may have to burn it when we're done, right? Okay, so we get the parts, the tools out, and we start working on the mask, and Airman Jones runs off and he gets some stuff, and he starts telling me what to do. He's like, now, tighten that screw down there, but be very careful, because you could, and you hear it, crack it. I'm like, oh, that might have been important to tell me before I started turning the screwdriver, right? He goes, that's fine. He's like, sir, I've broken a few of those mounts myself. I'm like, don't tell me how much they are. And he goes, let me go get a new one of those brackets, right? And about a half hour into this hour with Airman Jones, you know what Airman Jones begins to realize? He knows what? He knows something that I what? Don't know. This is the vulnerability fallacy, right? I've made myself vulnerable to Airman Jones. About a half hour in, he'll open up to me and tell me anything. So Airman Jones, what's going on in the squadron? Oh, they're smoking spice in back, and they're selling the MVGs online, right? No, he didn't tell me that. But he would, because at this point, he'll open up and tell me anything. I'll know exactly what's going on with that section, won't I? All because I took the time to do a wingman sortie. I took the time to do a dirty job. I took the time to show a little bit of vulnerability and make myself subordinate to the airmen, right? It's huge. Now, look, if you do this, a couple of rules, okay? One, don't go and do something you're already an expert at. Because then instead of subordinating yourself to the airmen, you're doing what? You're giving them what? An evaluation, right? A check, right? A spot check. And then instead of building trust, you're just putting trust on the line. Number two, don't just go and do the cool stuff, right? We've seen pictures, wing commander, vice wing commander fighting the fire in the silver outfit, right? Or getting attacked by the dog. That's all pretty cool. But what about going down to phase at 2 in the morning to join swings? What about that? Do we do that? Do we go out and do we show up at 4 in the morning for guard mount and stand during the horrible hot with the guys on the gate? We got to do the ones that aren't cool too. Okay, otherwise, you'll violate trust, right? Wingman stories are huge. You want your people to begin to trust you. By the way, I'm done. I leave. Airman Jones goes back to the break room, and they're back in the break room. And they're bitching about the commander and what a jackass he is. And what do you think Airman Jones is going to say today? No, I don't think so. I just spent an hour with him. He wasn't a jackass at all. He didn't know what he was doing. He listened to me. He followed my directions. I'm an airman. That was pretty cool. You know what else Airman Jones is going to do? He's going to go home that night, and you know who's going to call immediately? Mom and Dad. Mom, you'll never guess what I got to do, right? Where's his pride level now? Going up, right? Okay. 3 slides. This is the simplest and the most powerful one we have. If you don't do any other of our tools, do 3 slides. Got a 1 page. Okay. 3 slides. We're going to ask an airman to do 3 slides. Pictures, no words. Where they're from, who's important to them, and where they want to be in the next 5 years, right? It's right here. It tells you how to do it, right? So here's how this works. So pick who here has a staff meeting that they run or go to? Who here has a staff meeting they run? Raise your hand up high. How many staff meetings do you think happen on Nellis every week? When I was at Hickam, they thought it was about 100 a week. I was like, wow, this is a big base. Okay, so every staff meeting you should do this. So pick a new airman in your unit, right? Okay, so say your staff meeting's on Tuesday. Go to them on Thursday and say, hey, on Tuesday you need to brief the squadron commander and the senior staff, the group commander and the senior staff, right? The wing commander and the senior staff, right? I need to what? You need to brief them on 3 things: where you're from, who's important to you, and where you want to be in 5 years, right? Okay. So now you've told Airman Jones this, right? So Airman Jones goes home Thursday night, has to call Mom because needs to get some pictures of some people that are important to you. Mom, I have to brief the commander on Tuesday. And they're going to go, well, are you in trouble? And Airman Jones goes, I don't know what this is all about. I just need these pictures, right? Friday night, Airman Jones goes out with his friends, right? And they're out shooting pool, or they're out whatever, hanging out. And what's he saying about this? Oh, this is BS, man. I can't believe I have to do this. What a haze, right? But what's going on back here? I better start to prepare. I don't want to fail at this. I don't want to look stupid, right? Come about Monday, he's got his stuff together, doesn't know what format to put him in, right? So he needs some help. And if you've engineered this right, you've gone to Airman Jones' supervisor who checks up on him on Monday and says, Airman Jones, how you doing on your 3 slides? Well, Staff Sergeant, I don't know how to put this together right. Well, let me show you. He puts it together. Hey, why don't you walk through your 3 slides for me? What did we just engineer? A mentoring moment, right? Because part of the 3 slides is where you're going to be in 5 years. That staff sergeant begins to know the person a little bit better, right? How much sleep do you think Airman Jones gets Monday night? Especially if they got to go in front of General Short. How much sleep do you think they're getting? Not a lot, right? So they walk in, first 5 minutes of your staff meeting, they walk in, and they're kind of like this, right? They're looking at their boots an awful lot, right? And they go, and they put up a slide, and they go, this is me. I'm Airman Jones. I'm from Compton. That's a picture of my neighborhood. That building in the back, that was my youth center where I grew up. I spent most of my time. And someone in the back of the room goes, you're from Compton? I grew up just down the street. What school did you go to? Oh man, that was a tough neighborhood. That was rough folks, that was rough living. You're here. We're so glad you're here because that was rough living. And everyone goes, yeah. He puts up the next slide. He goes, this is who's important to me. This is my mom's. I love her dearly. That's my dog. His name is Coach, right? And someone goes, well, what kind of dog is that? And he goes, it's a Shih Tzu, right? It can get birds like you read about, right? And Airman Jones begins to realize what? Can he get this wrong? No, what's he going to do? Go, I'm Airman Jones. I'm from Compton. Someone back here's going to go, not true. I read your surf. You're from Seattle. He can't get it wrong, right? By the time he gets to where he's going to be in 5 years, do you care what he has to say about where he's going to be in 5 years? No. Do you know where you're going to be in 5 years? I thought I'd be retired by now. I can show you my day runner. The day after I signed in to to Maxwell on 18 July of 2014. On 19 July 2015 in my day runner, it says apply for retirement, right? Because I'd be inside a year. That's where I thought I'd be. I'm still here. I'm not retiring. I moved again. You don't know where you'll be in 5 years. You don't know what you're going to have for dinner tonight. So who cares what he has to say? What's important is that he puts up. I'm Airman Jones. The Air Force has saved my life. In 5 years, I want to be a staff sergeant. I want to be a dedicated crew chief. I want to plane on the line with my name on it. Oh, we can help you do that, Airman Jones, can't we? We could get you there. How motivated are you? Because we could start to accelerate you. We could really work on your 3 level and your 5 level. We can really work on PDG studying. We can get you there, right? Or he goes, you know what? I only joined the Air Force for the GI Bill. In 4 years, I'll be out. In 5 years, I'll be going to school. Really, that's great. Once you know what you're doing on the line, you know you can start collecting courses, and we can start to help him. When he goes to walk out of the room, he's walking like John Wayne now, right? He walked in like this, and now he's walking like John Wayne. He ducks to go out the door, right? You know what other advantage you get out of this besides getting to know one of your airmen? When you see Airman Jones on Saturday at the commissary, you don't have to have your wife introduce herself to him, right? 3 slides will change our Air Force. How many staff meetings do we have around our Air Force on 1 week? We want to get to know our airmen. We want to begin to build an environment of commitment, loyalty, and trust. Man, 3 slides will do it. One simple tool. Takes no money, takes very little time. I guarantee you, everybody in here's staff meeting's too long anyway. Mine was. Cut 5 minutes out. Give it to the airman. Commander call planning. We got a 1 slide on this. If you're not sure what to put in your commander call to make it relevant to your young airmen and your young officers or your civilians, have them plan it. Go to one of your civilians and go, hey, get a group of 5 or 6 civilians together. I want you to plan my next commander's call. If you got a bunch of civilians, go, look, I need 10 minutes. The DO, the chief, they need 5 minutes each. We have to do awards index. Okay? And then you plan what we see. Airmen, you plan it. Airmen, they make a phone call to the training manager, and next thing you know, you're getting training on the new evaluation system, right? Because they got questions on it, or you're getting training on PCSs, or you're getting training on the deployment, or you're getting someone to come talk about SAPR, because these are the things that are on your airman's mind, right? You want to make your commander's call relevant, have them tell you what to talk about by having them plan it. Local heroes. Local heroes. I wrote this one. So I don't have the luxury of getting to fly anymore. So my son joined Civil Air Patrol. Anybody in here in Civil Air Patrol? Anybody ever been in Civil Air Patrol? So I joined, okay, because I thought maybe I could fly, and sure enough, I got to fly. If you don't know Civil Air Patrol, they're the auxiliary of the Air Force, and their organization mirrors the Air Force. So it came time for me to take my check ride. Instead of a Form 8 check, it's a CAP Form 5 check, same thing, right? So I had to go take a check ride with the group commander, the Civil Air Patrol group commander. So we get out of the airplane, we're done, and he goes, yeah, that was a great flight, no problems. And he's walking a little funny, and my back's a little tweaked. I go, you look like your back's hurting. He goes, yeah. I go, yeah, mine too. He goes, yeah, mine's from punching out of the F4 twice. Really? Tell me about that. He goes, well, one of them was an accident, but the second time I got one blown out from underneath me over North Vietnam by a MiG. Really? Tell me about that. And he starts telling me the story. 1966, escorting an EB-58, and the MiG ambushed him from below, which they'd never done before. They'd always ambushed from above. Shot his airplane right out from underneath him. Backseater died. He comes down inside North Vietnam. I said, inside North Vietnam? He goes, yeah. I go, in 66? He goes, yeah. I go, wow. Had they caught you, you would have been one of the high-time guys. He goes, yep. He said it was 100 sorties in 4 hours and a huge firefight to get him out. This is an amazing story. I didn't even know it. I've been with this, flown with this guy a couple times, didn't know anything about this. What heroes are in this community, right? The other one that we see in down in San Antonio is, and this one we know about, but we see Dick Cole. Does anyone know who Dick Cole is? From Doolittle's Raiders, he was Doolittle's co-pilot. He's still around, and he talks to people. Amazing. What local heroes do you have here? I bet you got some great ones here. What heroes do you have that were in your unit, that can tie your past to your present? That can start talking about heritage, right? This goes with Heritage Today videos. What's the difference between history and heritage? Anybody know? History makes us what? History makes us smarter, right? History are the things that happen. Heritage makes us prouder. Heritage are those things that happened in history that we're proud of, right? You want to start developing an organization where people see a better version of themselves and an identity they want, make them proud to be there. You want to make them proud to be there, tie it to the things in heritage that we did in the past, right? the heritage that we did in the past. Go find local heroes. If you don't know where they're at, the one-pager tells you where to look. What organizations to go ask, chambers of commerce, things like that. Find out who's in your local. I bet you got some. Another one I found up in San Antonio, I was at a commemorative Air Force hangar dance, right? And they introduced a 93-year-old retired U.S. Marine Corps colonel, 15 kills, triple ace. Never had an aircraft damage, battle damage that he flew in combat, flew in 3 wars. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go talk to this guy. Didn't know he lived right down the street from me. Awesome, awesome stuff. They're here, go find them, okay? Local heroes. Look, here's the thing. None of this is required. You don't have to do any of these tools. However, everyone in the room that's wearing a pin, there's an AFI out there that expects you to do some things. What's it called? AFI 1-2 is titled what? Commander's what? Responsibilities, right? It has 4 areas you're responsible for: mission, resources, people, and the unit, right? This stuff they expect you to be out improving your people, making the unit better, right? That's what we've talked about here. This is how to do it. Here's the thing though, it's gotta be locally owned. The functionals won't own this. I will promise you this, I will retire before they ever make me turn this into a CBT. ADLS module, how much sense does that make, right? Go take the ADLS module on the computer to learn to have better human relations. Okay, that makes sense. We won't turn this into a program. We won't mandate this. We won't have an AFI on this. You own this. You're already expected to do it. It's in the AFI. You're expected to develop your people and lead your unit. Okay? We're just giving you tools to tell you how. If you don't like these, I got more. I'll show you the website. If you don't like those, what do you got? Send them to me. If you've developed some, and a couple guys that talk to me about some they're developing, send them to me. I'll put your name, I'll turn them into a one-pager, I'll put your name at the bottom, because, you know, being AETC, we have to, you know, footnote everything, right? No, you know why I put your name at the bottom? So people don't call me to ask questions about how to do it, they call you, because you're the creator of it. We'll give you full credit. And start doing it. Don't wait. No time, no AFI, no money. A little bit of time, right? Got to give it 5 minutes of my staff meeting for 3 slides. But I got to tell you, let's say that let's say you spend a little bit of time on this. Let's say it only kills about half your weeds. You strengthen the grass, and you strangle off half your problem children. How much of your day did I just give back to you? Did you just earn back? How much time do you spend on your problem children? If we could just reduce that by 50%, then you'd gain in time. Okay? You own this. You own this. Because what works at Randolph does not work at Nellis. What works at Nellis will not work at Hickam. Because they got this thing called joint base there. It's really weird. They all hate it. Okay? You own this. It's locally owned. Okay? There's the website. It's tough. www.airman.af.mil. Okay? If you're looking for a tool, right here, need a tool. Right here, need a tool, you click on that. If you know which tool you want, 3 slides, you can click on products, you get a A to Z list. You can click on that, right? So you can do products A to Z. You want one of our videos, looking for a video, right there, right? Looking for a video. You want us to come back? How to book a course. We'll come back to Nellis. I guess it actually depends on how bad I lose at the craps table tonight, whether or not I come back, right? But no, we'll come back. Click on that, I'll tell you how to get a hold of us, okay? We're the keeper of the Little Blue Book. We're the keeper of the PDG. That's not called PDG anymore, is it? It's called Airman's Handbook. We keep that, okay? So this is our website. Anything you need, you can find on there. If you can't find it, email me. There's my email address right there. Okay? You can follow us on Facebook. If we release a new video, we'll put it out on Facebook. We'll put out a tweet that we've released something new. I don't tweet. I don't even have an account, but there it is, okay? So you can follow us on social media too. This is where we started, right? If we're gonna take steps, if we're gonna lead ourselves in a way that we grow commitment, loyalty, and trust so that we connect what we believe into what we do. We're gonna lead ourselves in a way that grows commitment, loyalty, and trust so we connect what we believe into what we do. That's the goal. That's how we make the Air Force better. That's how we begin to chip away at this barrier, these problems that we've seen, airmen that are cynical, programs that aren't working. Right? I'm so tired of, you need to cough up another body so that they can go get trained, so they can be the semi-expert on fill in the blank. That's not how we're going to change The Air Force. You all are going to change the Air Force. Who changed the 435th? We trained one person in the 435th how to use this. Their commander. He changed everything in that unit. Hopefully it stays when he leaves. But he did, during his time, he made it better, okay? The question becomes, is how committed are you? If you're going to have commitment, loyalty, and trust, the commitment has to start with you.
When we finished basic training, we felt like we made it through something. We did it. We're done. We made it. You know why they call it basic training? Because that was the easy stuff. We thought we were going to change the world. We thought we'd all live to be heroes. But we learned two things after basic. The world wasn't going to come to us. And just because you put on a uniform doesn't mean you deserve to be a hero. You have to be committed. This wasn't the end of our training. It was the beginning of our new lives. We were airmen now. You hear about the guys who flew the first missions, the men and women who set records, who broke records, who gutted up and did what they had to do. Let me tell you, everybody wants to be one of them. There's a big difference between wanting and doing. You may never be one of them, but you will be an airman. You will serve your country and do your duty every single second of every single day until you separate, die, or retire. And when your moment comes, and there will come a moment, you will change the world. We did. You will be ready. That's what commitment is about in the Air Force. If in that moment you're undecided, you'll fail. You are allowed to make mistakes. You are not allowed to do halfway. Stay focused. Commitment. Every airman who has worn the uniform, who has fought and lived, or fought and died, is lifting you up. You're one of us, and you will go higher than we ever could. If there ever comes a time when you question your commitment, we want you to remember something. You're not doing this for us. We did this for you. Aim high, airmen.
All right. Bottom line, it's your job to bring out the best version of your people. Not the best version of your airmen, but of people. Includes your family, includes your kids, your spouse. Best version of your people. It is the single most important and the single most relevant part to accomplishing our mission. Period. Because people get it done. So let's rewind, if we could here for just a second, all the way back to early this morning, right? Remember Airman Jones? Airman Jones was from Compton, right? And at the end of our story, Airman Jones ended up as what? At best, he was what? A survivor, right? At worst, he was at statistic number 128. Highest number, by the way, we've had in a single year, suicides, right? So let's rewind all the way back. Let's rewind back to day one. Airman Jones shows up at his first base, right? Gets out of the car, looks at that single stripe in the mirror. Pretty proud, right? Puts the hat on, fixes it just like he was taught, straightens out his blouse, walks in. Nothing changes, life doesn't change, walks right into the wrong AMU, goes right into the wrong orderly room and stands there, right? And the secretary looks up and goes, "Hi, Airman, are you new?" And he goes, "Yes, ma'am, I am." And she goes, "Wow, we're not expecting anyone. Hold on. Sergeant Rizzuto, we got an airman up here." Hold on a second. "Hi, Airman, I'm Sergeant Rizzuto. Who are you?" "I'm Airman Jones." "We're not expecting anyone. Let me see your paperwork." Hands. So first of all, Airman Jones, you need to know this checklist is hard. There's going to be a lot of things you're going to run into, a lot of roadblocks that you're going to run into trying to get this signed off. So if you run into problems, come find me, okay? Second of all, you're not in this AMU. You're in the wrong part of the right building, wrong part. You're in the other AMU down the hall. Reason I want you to call me if you have a problem is your orderly room NCOIC is deployed right now. I'm covering as the NCOIC down there too. So if you're having problems, here's my card. You call me. Now come on, I'll walk you down the hall and I'll take you to where you need to go. Welcome. We're glad you're here. We need new airmen. Goes down the hall, right? Airman Smith, come here, Airman Jones is here. "Oh, Airman Jones, we've been expecting you." "Well, hold on, let me make a phone call. Let me get a hold of your sponsor. We'll get your sponsor up here. They're going to start walking you through this process." Okay? Tech Sergeant turns and leaves. Airman Jones like, wow, kind of feeling welcome here, right? Let's flash forward about 3 weeks later. He's finished FTAC. It's day one on the line. He's a little bit nervous, right? A little bit nervous going out on the line. Man, there's planes running around out there and weapons being loaded. So first meeting before he goes out on the line, and the master sergeant's up front and goes, hey, we got a newbie. Airman Jones is here to be a newbie. Airman Jones, everyone else has done it. Get up, come on up. Give us your 3 slides. You got 3 minutes. There doesn't have to be slides. Tell us where you're from. Tell us who's important to you. Tell us where you're going to be in 5 years, right? Or if you got slides, do you 3 slides, Airman Jones. Airman Jones gets up and goes, I'm from Compton, which is a rough life growing up. That's a picture of the youth center where I learned to play volleyball. That's the one thing that kept me off the streets. That's my mom's and my dog coach. And in 5 years, I want a jet on the line with my name on it as the dedicated crew chief. That's my goal. That's where I want to be. Great, Airman Jones. They go and put their coveralls on, no more name tapes, right? As they're going out the door, someone comes running up, says, hey, Airman Jones, I'm Airman Smith. Not that Airman Smith, different Airman Smith, right? You like volleyball? I like volleyball. I grew up in Florida. You ever play beach volleyball? And they're talking as they're going down the line. Somebody remembered his name, right? Let's fast forward about 3 months. Life doesn't change, right? Airman Jones got the wrong tool, right? He's working on that hydraulic line. He snaps it. Hydraulic fluid everywhere, right? Here comes the crusty civilian over. Airman Jones, what did you do? Well, I was tightening the hydraulic line. That's what you were using. That's what I was using. Okay, stop. Everyone come over. He gets everyone off the flight line. He says, look, we've got something I want everyone to learn from here. Airman Jones was working on this hydraulic line and made a very common mistake. It's a mistake I made as an airman. Hold up the tool. Wrong tool. Wrong tool for the job. This is why, guys, that the TO is very specific about using the right tool for the job. Okay, so no one else make this mistake. Go back to work. Airman Jones, I got to tell you something. You're allowed to make mistakes on the flight line, but don't make this mistake again, okay? Now go get the spill cleanup kit and get to work on cleaning this up and then start fixing what you broke. He says, well, yes, sir, but I don't know where the spill cleanup kit is. And he goes, well, come on, it's over here. Walk with me, and I'll show you where it's at. And as they're walking, he says, why'd you come to the Air Force? Well, who's important to you? And Airman Jones goes, you know, it's a tough day. It's kind of a rough day. I've screwed up, but you know what? I'm part of this unit, right? Let's flash forward about 3 months, right? Getting ready to deploy, right? One team, one fight. Ops and maintenance sitting together. Only now, we got the ops squadron commander has senior maintenance leaders and his DOs and his senior leaders sitting here. He's got PNS sitting with his schedulers over here, right? And he's got his lieutenants scattered among the airmen. He says, hey, I want to learn, or I want to start doing something to build camaraderie, one team, one fight. This isn't how we work here in Garrison, but when we go deploy, we're one squadron. We're a expeditionary fighter squadron. So anybody got any ideas? Nobody has any ideas. Finally, an airman raises his hand in the back of the room, and he goes, Airman, I don't know your name. What's your name? Stand up. Sir, I'm Airman Jones. All right, Airman Jones, what do you got? Sir, I'd really like to play volleyball. Maybe if we played some volleyball, maybe we could get to know each other. And the captain over here snickers and goes, it's 110 degrees out. Hey, Captain, do you have a better idea? The commander says, no, sir, I don't. And he goes, then let the airman speak. Defends him just a little bit. Okay? If you got a better idea, I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, let the airman speak. Airman Jones, that's not a bad idea. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get about 4 or 5 of your fellow airmen together, come by my conference room on Friday for lunch for the next 4 weeks, and I want you to brainstorm some different ideas that we can do as competitions to begin to build some camaraderie between this ops and maintenance, okay? You're going to lead the think tank, and I want all airmen, and I'll buy the pizza. Airman Joe sits down and leans to Smith, his friend, right? They love volleyball. Oh, we can start doing some volleyball. Fast forward about 4 more weeks, right? They're getting ready to deploy. Life doesn't change. Airman Jones is sitting in the dorm room, and in comes the same girl, right? And she looks right at Airman Jones, and she goes, you are such a loser. I can't wait for you to deploy so I don't have to see your stinking face around here again. She takes the ring off. She throws it at him. She turns and leaves. Airman Jones looks at the ring, and he looks down. He grabs his cell phone, and he punches Smith. It's in his pre-dial, right? And he goes, hey, dude, she just broke up with me. Oh man, that sucks. Hey, come on, let's go to the gym. Let's hit the ball around a little bit. I need to get out of this room. Yeah, come on, let's go. As they're walking to the gym, they're talking about, man, we're leaving in a week for deployment. And he goes, yeah, I hope we don't have to put that chem gear on because that thing sits weird on my face, right? I can't believe we even have to drag it. Yeah, I know. It should be pretty cool though. What's changed? What's changed in Airman Jones? What kind of airman do we have now? Do we have a survivor? Or do we have a thriver? You know what a thriver is? A thriver walks around and looks around and says, how can I make things better? How can I make, they're still respectful. They still respect the chain of command. They're still good airmen. They still salute and stand up. Yes, sir, no, ma'am, the whole thing. But they're looking around and they're going, how can I make things better? How can I get engaged? They're not like this. And they're definitely not that cynical guy, right? Pfft, whatever, deployment, one team, one fight, whatever. We know what that means. Yeah, well, man, no, now we have a thriving airman. And let me ask you this, lieutenant, captain, airman first class, doesn't matter, whoever the junior people are in your unit, if they were all thrivers, self-motivated, on fire, sold out, bleeding blue, how quickly and how powerfully could you change your organization? And then how quickly and how powerfully could that organization begin to change the Air Force? The 435th, they started doing all this stuff, right? They had to get help. They had to get waiver from the wing commander to take a down day, right? They had to show to them that that risk wasn't there. You know what happened? They began to see an impact and a change in their students and the way their students interacted. The other members of the group started going, oh, what's this? We want some of this. Pretty soon, the other members of the wing started going, oh, what's this? We want some of this, right? That wing's at 3 locations, right? It's at Randolph, Pensacola, and the Air Force Academy. And they start going, oh, we want some of this. That squadron is going with Dr. Smith to brief the SECAF and the Chief of Staff at the end of January on the initiatives that they created. They are changing who they are. They are changing how they do business. They haven't changed a single what they do. They changed everything about how they do it. Changed everything about how they do it. If you had nothing but sold out, bleeding blue thrivers in your organization, how powerfully and how quickly could you make changes for the better so that we don't become the flip phone, but we're the iPhone of the world? New way of imagining doing business, new way of imagining executing our mission, new way of imagining of taking care of our airmen. Man, it's powerful. That's what we talked about today. That's what I hope you got out of today. Start using the tools. Come up with your own. Talk to each other. Give me a call. Send me an email. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know what help you need. That's all I got. I went 10 long. I so apologize. I'm around. I got questions. I'll be up here. Or I got it. Well, I got questions. I don't have any answers. But I'll be up here if you have questions or if you have comments or if you want to chat. Otherwise, Aaron, thank you so much for having us out. To the General, thank you so much for having us out. And I look forward to seeing more members from your units, guys, in the next 2 days.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
How about a round of applause?